Shemtov, please tell me, first of all, a few words about yourself. What did you do before being involved in criminal activities, and how did you end up there?
Okay, I born in Jerusalem in 1952. My parents, when I was 7 years old, divorced. I, with all my four brothers and one sister, was sent to the children homes. And I grew many years by different place of children until I was 17. Then I ran from there to find my parents or my family. And I was come to one city in Tel Aviv, is Shchonat Tikva, and then I was involved with different children like me, young boys. We beginning there to make a different criminal, stealing everything, only to survive.
How many years you spent in prison?
All my life, I was a different place in a different prison in the world. I was spent something like 32 years in different prison in the world.
32?
32 altogether. The biggest time that I was doing, in the United States, I was charged in 2003 for 20 years of smuggling cocaine, of smuggling ecstasy to United States.
So you came to United States and you was caught there?
No, was arrested.
Or you was arrested here and extradited?
No, arrested me in Bulgaria in 2003, and that was the Bulgarian government was extradite me to United States. The United States request me for smuggling ecstasy to United States.
In 2003?
Yes.
This cocaine arrest, after this cocaine story, was it your first arrest or not?
No. I was arrested first time in 1974 in Germany. I was sentenced for 7 years in prison when I was 23 years. And then I was released in the 80, near the 79, and sent back to Israel. In Israel, I was sitting also for 3 years in prison until 1993, which I was arrested in Holland by the Holland government, and they extradited me to Israel of the cocaine transactions from Colombia to Russia.
So let's speak about this cocaine transfer. Was cocaine transferred to Russia, to Europe via Russia before 1993? Or was it the first time, or did the people you know, did they try to get cocaine to Europe through Moscow or St. Petersburg before 1993?
I won't tell you. I was in 1985, 86, I was working drugs deals in Denmark and later on in Switzerland. In Denmark, I sit in prison 3 years for that. And in the 91, 92, I was come to Holland, and there I was look of one friend of me, and he was asked me to make the deal to send a container of cocaine from Colombia to Russia. And I was agree, and I was in the end I was arrested of that transactions. They sentenced me, they arrest me in Holland, extradite me to Israel, and I get the 9 years prison for this cocaine transaction, the ton cocaine who arrested in a catch in Russia.
When did you arrest you?
Okay, I was arrested in Holland in August 94, because Israel request from Holland to extradite me to Israel of the smuggling of a container of more as 1 ton of cocaine from the cartel of Cali to St. Petersburg in Russia.
What were the roles of other people, other Israeli people who were involved in this cocaine transfer? Oscar Donat, Amos Sulami, maybe someone else?
Okay, I was arrested, and with me was arrested several people. All these people that you maintain now, the names, they arrested with me. And they arrested in Israel at that, I think something in 22 September 93. And they charged him, all of them, for that cocaine transactions
But
to
Oscar
Russia.
Donat, I think he was not arrested.
Oscar Donat, they arrested him in Israel, and they, after investigation, 10, 15 days, they released him.
So what was his role in this affair?
What I know, he was a friend of Yuval Shemesh, one of the Israeli guy he was with us. He was with him in Russia, doing different things, and I have no more so much know about this guy.
And what was exactly your role in this case? What did you do? What was your job?
Okay, my role was to be in contact with the cartel of Cali, which we know now, the brother Rodriguez. They're the head of the cartel of Cali, but I was not have contact direct with them. They have some people who was deal with me, with how to smuggling that cocaine container to Russia. So I was fly several times to Colombia. I was meet there different people of the cartel Cali. I was go to the jungle and I was see everything, and they prepare the can bottle. There was cocaine was inside in the meat and potatoes can, and we organized it with the cartel of Cali. In my books, Acapulco Connections, which is here, and can show you to the camera, Acapulco Connections, and you can see here the second side of the books. I was wrote everything, all the situations, how was in Colombia and how we delivered that container to Russia.
I will repeat my question. Was it the first time that you decided to deliver cocaine through Russia, or was the cocaine delivered through Russia before 1993?
No, that was first time that I was making that job and to transfer that cocaine to Russia, because in that years, in the 92, 93, the both cartel of Cali and Medellin, that for Paulos Escobar and the brothers Rodriguez, they was sent a lot of cocaine, thousands of kilos to United States. And the DA agents and all the police was after them. They tried to find another way to send cocaine to Europe. And we find at the time that Russia was the best for us, because as you know, 91, 92, the Russia was have a big problem. There was a lot of corruptions, and there was a lot of problem in Russia, and that was more easy to corrupt the customs in a different place to take in the cocaine transaction from Colombia to Russia.
Whose idea was to use Russia as a transit point?
Yes, the idea was of Sulami. He was one of the connection that he have. The roles was here that we was send the container to Russia, to St. Petersburg, to the address of the deputy mayors, Anatoly Zobchik, in St. Petersburg. I send the address, and I get the papers and everything, send it to that address of mayors of St. Petersburg.
official address of St. Petersburg mayor, Smolny.
Yes, they have the original papers. I get them, and I take those papers with me from Colombia to Holland, and I give them to a guy, his name Vladimir Bakshayev. Vladimir Bakshayev, he have the connections with the Myers, Anatoly Sobchak. And between Anatoly Sobchak and Bakshayev was another guy who he handling with him. In my books, Acapulco Connections, Operation Acapulco, I wrote everything, so I explain everything.
Do you know can you tell the name of this guy who was between Bakshayev and Sobchak?
I can tell you that my books is Roman Izekov, but this is names which is not original names, because that guy he never arrested. But what I know is when the container arrived to Vyborg in Russia, to the
to the port,
and 2 days later come one guy to give some money and try to release the containers, and by his hand he have the papers.
The same papers
the same papers that I sent, but these papers was gathered from some guys, because the Bakshayev give these papers to any guys in the Myers.
So only before this, only Bakshayev had these papers, yes?
Yes, Bakshayev have this, and he give us to some guys in the deputy Myers, and they give it to another guy who I really don't know him, and my name, I don't know those names. I'm never involved with him, and I don't know him. I just read it in newspapers, and he was go and they arrest him for just 6 months, and after 6 months they release him. Mm-hmm. That's what I know.
So St. Petersburg mayorship, Sobchak, he was supposed to think that St. Petersburg is buying a container of meat and potato cans from Colombia. So they didn't know that it's cocaine.
Yes, I telling you right now, I not have evidence for that. But Anatoly Sobchak, he was no. He should get some money for that. To tell you 100%, and that I cannot for sure, but as you can see, the address, it was to the sanitary office of the Myers of St. Petersburg.
This was the address, official address in those papers?
Yes.
Where container should have been arrived?
Of course, if the police of St. Petersburg in Russia have now that file, you can take the books, you can see the papers, and you can see the delivery address that was the deputy Myers of St. Petersburg.
Except for this guy, Bakshayev and Sobchak, did you hear maybe from your colleagues or from somewhere some other Russian names which were involved in this transfer?
No, this is all the guys that I tell you now. This is what I know who was involved. What's happening after, I wrote also in my books, Operation Acapulco, because I released from prison in 1917, and I was beginning to write books of my life. When I beginning to write the books about my life, I was supposed to open to the social media over the internet, and when I make research, and I was find different things, especially for the Free European Radio network in Czechia, who was there was 2 journalists or more journalists who wrote a lot of articles. Especially was one, the big one in the journalist, it was Dmitry Volchek, and the another one was Vladimir Evenitsa. he was wrote a lot of the situations, what's happening to the container after they was moved from Viborg to St. Petersburg.
And then puzzle was...
Then the puzzle come one by one, one by one. But when I was read really what they wrote in there, and then I follow the High Court of London. As you know, you remember of the poison of Alexander Litvinenko in 2006. There was the British government was make a commission, investigations about this poison. Then you can see a statement for intelligence agents, Yuri Shevet, who now living in the United States, and he wrote about that the containers was involved the Anatoly Sobchak, and we know him now, Vladimir Putin, which is the president of Russia right now. So I was see the puzzle, I beginning to write, and I find out that Putin was deputy mayor of Sobchak exactly at that time. And when the Israeli TV was followed the Operation Acapulco, they fly to Colombia and they make a movie for 26 minutes, and that you can see how the Russian government in St. Petersburg, they arrested, they catch the containers, and they make a movie for a couple minutes how the police, special police of Russia, who open the containers, take the can, open it, and test it, and we have that in the you can see it in the Israeli TV. There was informs about that, and when I was write and read a different article in different place, I find that Putin was there at the time in the years, and there was about another gangs, but this Tamibov of Vladimir Komarin, I think. He was one of the number one gangs member who was, I follow the article of course, that he give corruptions to Putin at the time in the mayors of St. Petersburg. And I was wrote everything about the situations of the containers, and I was not follow or try to say about the president of Russia something that I'm no 100%, but I'm sure that he was there, he was know about the situation of that transaction of the cocaine.
Tell me please, how did you learn on that date? I think it was February 16th. Yes. When was you? How did you learn that your operation is?
I hear that the container was catched by the government of St. Petersburg. I mean the police in 16 February 93. And I was in Holland at the time. And when I was in Holland, I have a guy who told me that they make big investigation in Russia, in Colombia, and in Israel, and they try to, by the few months, to arrest all these people who involved in Operation Acapulco in that transaction. So I have information about that. I fly to Israel. I explain to every people in Colombia. That was Elias Cohen. I tell him, be careful, you're going to be arrested soon. They not destroyed the cocaine. And then we find out that this cocaine was sent from St. Petersburg, different port, to Europe. And the European police was reported that many drugs catch, and that they're trying to smuggling that cocaine outside to Europe.
You found it in 1994, 1993, after container.
That was in 1994-5, because the container was kept in some place more than 2 years. They not destroyed. Why? They should destroy it immediately. Then we know here that somebody, hand especially, was taking the containers and put it in 2 years in some place in St. Petersburg, and then take it through the gangs member probably, and sell it to Germany and to Switzerland. I believe that they get for that 70, maybe $80 million for that cocaine.
How did you know that this cocaine was
listen, I am criminal in my life. I know how another criminal in Russia, he want to handling this. When they're coming by the hand of the Tamebov gang, there's people professional, they know what to do. Mm-hmm. And they know how to take it out. And the people who behind them, for sure they get money. I not can tell you by 100%, but the object and Putin was in there at the time.
Behind those people who finally sold this cocaine 2 years after it was seized to you?
I don't know what was exactly there. I followed the journalist of Free European one, all the article all together, and was also decided by the High Court in London of these situations. And I'm sure after that article will come in more informations about that situation. But you see that is very, very, it's happened one time in life for somebody. And I thinking when I wrote these books, I want to put everything what I think what will happen. Maybe I have some mistake there, some mistake there, and I not want to put any something of some, and that doesn't matter who people who not do that and they let you do that. No, I meaning, I thinking the way I put the puzzle one by one, and what I say in my books should read it and to understand it, what's happening. That is exactly this books is ready to make a series TV in the world one day.
I wanted to ask you about one more thing. This guy Amos Sulami, who sorted out all things in Russia, he was also involved in other criminal activities in Russia. He was involved also in stealing ancient manuscripts, including Torah, from Russian libraries and smuggling them to Europe, and some of them were smuggled to Israel. Do you know something about this?
I let you know something. I don't know what he was doing before in Russia with another people of Judaica, they say, you know, the different Jewish Torah and the Bible and different things. But in my books, Operation Acapulco, I write very clear that he was come one day with a box with a Chagall picture who come from Russia. Mm-hmm. And that Chagall was selling in Israel and $3 million, but that Chagall was really buy it. There was not steal it. Different things, I don't know what he was doing, but by talking about that Chagall, there was check that. They have article in the Israeli journalist write about that, and they sell it that Chagall with different people. They get the money, and I was put that Chagall in my home in Holland for 1 month. What he was by that, what he was doing before, I really don't have nothing to do about that.
I am asking because in this manuscripts affair, Russian man called Yakubovsky. There were 2 brothers, Yakubovskys. They were involved and they were also connected to government.
I tell you something, I wrote about that. I see that article in the news network, you know, by the internet, and so I read it about the situation. I really, that issue that I really don't know what has happened before, but what I can say from from September 1993, that man, Sulami, and another people who was in that case was in prison. He get 18 years, Sulami, of 2 different cases, drug case. I get 9 years because they arrest me in Holland and they extradite me to Israel. They don't want to bring all the witness about the container from Russia. and make with me plea agreement deal for 9 years, and they charged me for that, and I get 9 years prison.
What is the fate of other people who were in this operation? Yuval Shemes, Amos Noami, why some of them were released very quickly, some of them served a very big sentence. What do they do now? Do they alive?
I tell you, Elias Cohen, they charged him in Colombia for 14 years. They released him before in 1914, something like that. And I know now he's in the United States someplace. Amos Sulami get 18 years for 2 different drug case, and they release him from 94, they release him in 2004. And from then he released, and then he have another case, drug case. They charge him against, and now he already old, and they release him, and he living quiet in Israel. Yuval Shemesh was a state witness. He was witness. They charged him for 6 years, 7 years, and they release him long time. Everybody have his life. And I also, you see, write this book now about Operation Acapulco, and my second book's Walls of Silence, which will be coming next time about my time that I sit in prison in the United States, almost more as 15 years.
Do you think, you said that after you read all these articles, the puzzle came together and you understood that not only Sobchak, but his deputy, Vladimir Putin, also could have been involved in this operation?
You see, when you come in, you understand your question, but when you come to conclusion and put the puzzle all together, I say that Sobchak get cold feet. He stopped that to contact with Bakshayev. Then he have a problem. The problem is the container, because Israeli agents, government, was give information to the minister in Moscow at the time that in that container have cocaine and weapons. And at the time, there was the president of Russia was Yeltsin. And immediately there was sent that information from Moscow to Sobchak.
Were there weapons?
I don't know. I think there was no weapons, but they say it that the container was caged, and just to put intention was a weapon, but was no weapon inside. There was never. Just put it to make it bigger, the situation. So what has happened? As you can see, that the federal agent Russian who come to the container, you can see that by the video, these people who was the boss of them, that was Putin at the time. He was KGB agent, but he was the deputy mayor of Sobchak. He was involved, he was know everything. He don't know, of course, he have nothing to do with the container. He don't know nothing until this what's happened. And then he's coming to his information. He have never know about these containers. I believe not from Sobchak and not for nobody, but he was know the situation, I'm sure, when I put the puzzle one by one. But however, I cannot say for sure 100%, but the possibility that was happening is there.
Do you think Sobchak knew that the cocaine is coming in this container, or did Sobchak think that it's really some food?
He was no. He was no, and for sure he not say to nobody. Only he was contact between Bakshayev, and we know that Sobchak was at the time in his life he was involved in corruption in St. Petersburg. He is running to French. And we know also Putin, one time of his life, he get a problem, he running to Germany. And when Putin was president, Sobchak coming back, he no have any problem, one help to the others.
So you think Sobchak knew about cocaine, but he didn't tell Putin?
For sure, I'm sure he told him nothing about that. But later on, when the cocaine caged, and they was see the address where the delivery of the cocaine, and then they was taking the containers and disappeared. Exactly what they're writing in the article for Vladimir Evendeze. That's exactly everything is there. I followed the journalist was we writing in different place, also in the Guardian, in London, and writing in different place in Ukraine, in different country. Writing is I put everything is in my books of me, because I want to write the true story. How is it possible? But when I know something that I was wrong, I always can correct it and correct it. Now my books was already translated to English, and they will be soon as possible sell by Amazon in United States.
Can I ask you how much you personally how much money you personally was supposed to receive if this operation ended successfully?
I was supposed to get something like $4 or $5 million.
You personally?
Personal, me and all the group of us, everybody put some money, and he gets some pieces of cocaine when that will be delivered to Holland. That's the final destination was.
So this was like joint investment. So
yes, I telling you, this is very, very especially to see how the cartel of Cali in the jungle, in the way how they organize that container. It's big work. It's not easy, and that was first time, also first time for me. And to see what's happening there, we sent that the container of cocaine, to Russia, the way, and the whole situation what was later on, I think is something unbelievable. That's will very, very specially. Now I'm almost 70 years. Mm-hmm. I read really about my life, and I want to everybody who read my books, I will also talking to everybody to not follow me, because I was making a lot of mistakes in my life because of my childhood, and I don't want anybody who see me, who follow me. I say sorry also to everybody who I hurt in my life. Doesn't matter where in the world. And I say and I advise everybody to not follow me in making normal life like everybody.
Who was the main person behind this plot? I've read that there was a man called Boris Neifeld who lived in I think Belgium, Antwerpen. Then he was from Brighton Beach, and he was the highest person behind this cocaine transfer.
No. Nobody have here behind this cocaine. Mm-hmm. I was the most man in the front. Sulami was with me, but nobody.
So this was your idea?
That was our idea. Is a pure Israeli idea, and the guy who have the cartel of Cali, that was Elias Cohen in Colombia. He have everything, and nobody sitting behind us. We are together. Was the how you call it, the people who follow, and they give order what to do and how to do that.
This container, was it? Did you try before sending this container? Did you try to test this road on some maybe smaller amount?
No. We not try nothing. Just we take that plan, and we follow that plan first time. And as you can see, they catch it, and I get it present for that. And that's what is happening. That's what I can tell you.
If this plan would have been successful, were you planning to send more and more containers?
No. When I was happening to me that I was sitting in prison, after I sitting another ecstasy deal in prison, I released in 1917. I write my life. I'm tired for all this life I get. That's enough.
Back then, when you planned this container transfer, were you thinking that if it will be successful, you will send more through Russia?
Yes, that was the plan, because only the first time there was how you call it, that test to see how is work.
This container was
This, yeah, when there was good, then was one by one, not only for cartel of Cali, also of cartel of Medellin by Paulo Escobar. You should read my books and see what I wrote that everything's marked.
Are you afraid now when you are writing this book and now you know, you suppose that Vladimir Putin, who is a very powerful man, was connected with this story. Now when you are supposing so, are you afraid writing this, all of this in this book or saying this in the interviews?
I tell you, I know and I read all the situation what is happening in Russia, especially when the Putin he the president. We know all the situation. I read everything. I personally, me, I'm not scared. I'm 70 years old. What I can say, Putin was poor child like me, but he win. He was only one guy that I can say, and is the life. He was only the man who the criminal activity that he was involved in the 90 there in Russia, he was the win man, only him. And I am telling you something, I respect him very much because he is a smart man.
Do you think it's this story with this container was the story when he... Do you think Putin is rich?
Of course, he rich.
Do you think his richness started
What
back then?
What I thinking is I was the same idea like him. When I was child, poor, I know I have money. All what I have in my life is to get money. He have the same. Why? The same life. And he dreamed to get also to have the money when he get to be deputy mayors. And then he get the powers, easy. And he get the powers in the police, in KGB. And I believe when he get even for the container cocaine, to example I telling you, he get 10 or $7 million at the time is big powerful. I believe that he get to be in president, that the money that he have, easy. And he also a smart man, of course. And I wish him all the best, but they cannot charge him anymore because they have a law. All what he was, any president do before, they cannot charge him.
Do you think, after all, it was good for Russia that he...
I think when Vladimir Putin
he came to power.
I think when he came to power, as you can see, after 10 years, the economy, everything is grow. He make very good to Russia. Russia in that time, they have good economy. The people have living good. In '92, they sitting in the waiting to get some bread. To waiting 1,000 people waiting to get a piece of bread for supermarket that they have not. But when he charged, of course, he get empowers and he get the smart that he have inside on him and the money that he have. I think he was making good to Russia.
And you think now it's also good for Russia that he is still president?
I just thinking he too many years in powers, and my opinion that I can see about his life is a couple years he's give up. He no need to be more. He do everything for Russia, and one day he's come another guys to be president in Russia, and I was very sorry also about the. I'm not a political man. But I can see all the opposition in Russia, they hurt him. You know, like Navalny is in prison. I think that guy must to release for prison and not hurt him like this. And I think the democracy in Russia must be coming in the power more.
Shemtov, that's brilliant. Finishing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was very interesting.
Thank you for everybody.